Hello, Outshiners. I'm Joe Blancho, your Director of Programming. Welcome to the 22nd Annual Outshine Film Festival, albeit a virtual edition. We're still excited to be able to bring these wonderful films to you. Today we'll be talking to Peter Mackie Burns, the director of Rialto, a fabulous film that I look forward to bringing to you all. Before that, one of the things we need to do is thank our community sponsors. There are people who really have supported us for a very long time. Without them, we really wouldn't be able to reach out, and they are part of the community as we are part of the community, so we always say thank you to them. Our first one is the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, a longtime sponsor. We have a little bit of a promo to let you know what it is that they do. Thank you again to AHF, again, a longtime supporter of us. Our next community partner, University of Miami HPAC. Again, University of Miami has been a long relationship with us, and we appreciate all that they do. And here's a little promo of what they do. Thank you again, We'll be learning a lot about them, about our community partners as we progress through these questions and answers. But again, thank you to the two from today and all of the sponsors. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Peter Mackie Burns of the film Rialto. It will start screening on August 27th at 9:15, and then will be available for 4 days after, so till about the 31st. Peter, welcome. Thank you for joining us from Scotland.
Hey, hi there. Pleased to be here. Nice to meet you, Joe.
One of the things I always say is we are very, very sad that we won't be able to have a physical presence and sort of interact with our audience and our guests, but quite often we're not able to reach very far beyond borders anyway. So it's nice to be able to talk to somebody who we might normally not be able to talk to. So again, thank you for giving your time. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm delighted the movie's on, and I'm delighted people will get the chance to see it.
Great. So in this new world we live in, some people may be seeing you before actually seeing the film, and we'll be showing a trailer later. But give sort of your synopsis. We have our synopsis that's written and up anyone to read, but you describe your film for us, and I just always like to hear sort of the way you sort of describe your own film. So
geez, that's always the hardest question. Always. I think my film's about a man who, for want of a better term, pulls the pin in his own life. A man who is making all of the wrong decisions in his life through grief. I'm not selling this very well, am I?
Well, it is a hard to define film because there really is so much happening. There's the relationship between he and his family. There's the relationship between he and Jay, and so that's the other thing is how do you? There really are sort of two relationships and two sort of levels of intimacy. How do you? Did you choose to sort of focus on one? Because in my opinion, they really are both integral parts of the film.
I think what attracted me to the project was the screenwriter, Mark O'Halloran is an Irish screenwriter who's made 3 or 4 excellent movies. I really suggest, if you can see them, to hunt them down. He made a movie called Adam and Paul and Garage, both directed by the wonderful director Lenny Abrahamson, who made Room, which was nominated for Oscar a few years ago. And Mark's characterizations are effectively what attracted me to the work. They're complex. The people in the movie feel like regular people rather than movie people, And something I'm quite interested in doing is trying to make characters in movies that feel like people we know, that feel like people we might meet, So I suppose then, no one as a person, human beings are complex. We can't really be summed up, And I think, we're complex organisms. So I don't think anyone could be defined by one thing. So in the movie, what I thought was interesting is that Colm can't be defined as any one thing. He's all of the things we see in the movie and even more that we don't see, like we all are. So I suppose that was a very roundabout way of answering your question.
No, it's very true. Like, we may not be able to, part of the story of Colm is his drinking issue, and that may not be us, but yet we're still part of Colm. And it was really interesting watching. It's like, that's not where I am yet. I fully understand and empathize with both Colm and Jay. And they're equally complex. Did you find that as well? With Jay has his own complexities. He's not, again, a simple character.
No, and that's really the key to the project and the film, that no one is simple. No one's like a movie character in the movie, and in real life, people have many sides. And Jay in this movie, if we think about it, my goodness, we're getting right into this early. I like it. So if you think about it, what I was attracted to in making this movie was about how these two flawed characters, shall we say, these two very human characters, make a flawed safe space. A space. They're both fathers. I hope I'm not giving any spoilers here. Perhaps I am.
No, go for it.
They're both fathers. Neither of them are defined by their job, their relationships, their sexual orientation, or even gender. This isn't this is purely about men who cannot communicate with each other in their own lives. And through commerce, they make a safe space. And these two men can talk to each other across generations, And I thought, well, this is really interesting to me, because if you say this movie is about fathers and sons in a sense, then in the movie, there's a line, we all hate our fathers. I think we're supposed to. I thought, when I read the script, this line resonated with me enormously, And I thought, yes, I think we are, in Freudian terms, we have to destroy our father, And I think in the movie, if you see Colm, he hasn't quite managed to destroy his father, but he's doing a pretty good job of destroying himself by trying to live up to his father's expectations.
Yeah, it's one of those where you always like are cringing at the decisions made, yet they're decisions that had to be made, and it's like, again, you empathize it, and that's, again, I think that's a key word, is this empathizing. Whether or not you understand, you empathize in the situation that they're in, whether we've been there or not. It's just something you feel, and again, I think that's, you did that. You made us feel that way through the character. So, thank you for doing that. But and how do you do that? Like through a casting, is that something you're looking for? And how do you look for an empathetic actor? How do people come to be?
Well, that's a great question. I was so lucky on this movie that the cast I have are uniformly, I think, excellent, and I was so fortunate to work with them. It was an absolute gift. Rialto is my second movie. In my first movie, I met and worked with Tom Vaughn Lawlor, who plays Colm. And Tom in Ireland is a very, very well respected, well known, and loved actor, and he's always looking for a challenge and doing interesting work. And when he read the part, and I'm speaking from here because I've been in a Q&A with him before, so I can quote him here. He loved the writing. And as a man, he's, of course, nothing like Colm. He's a nice middle class family, non-drinking, non-smoking, kind, empathetic individual. But he seems to have this thing that all great screen actors do, where when you watch them, you don't really think they're acting. They sort of inhabit the world of the character. And he's a friend of mine because we've been working together on projects for a couple of years now. When I read this script, I asked Tom if he would consider it. And he read the part, he loved it. He put on, I think, about a stone or 2 stones in weight. He tried to drink alcohol, I think, for the first time, maybe, I don't know, in 20 years or something. He went to McDonald's every day.
That's dedication.
Yeah, he tried to inhabit the character in a sense, and I think he did a really, really extraordinary job. So the way I work is I try to work with actors that either I know and I've worked with before, or I see them in a movie or a show or something. And I work, with casting directors too, and sometimes they bring up very interesting names. So Tom Glencarney, who plays Jay, is an actor I didn't know personally. And then when he came into the audition, he came in character, as lots of actors do these days. Now, he's from a city called Manchester in England. So he has a very distinctive accent, and I'm one to talk. And he came in character with a Dublin accent. And it was extraordinary. And then after a while, I realised when he'd left the rehearsal, I'd seen him in a movie before. He's in Dunkirk. Have you seen that movie?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, he plays a character in Dunkirk called Peter, who has scenes with Cillian Murphy on a boat. He plays Mark Rylance's son. There's a very posh, blonde, young middle-class man. Again, very different from Tom Glencarney, the actor, And I thought, wow, these actors have got an extraordinary ability these days to just nail something, to be brave. And my way of working is, it's an old-fashioned notion. I try to cast the best people I can, and then I get out of the way quickly, and I let them work. So we don't rehearse the scenes. So I work with the actors in advance. So with Tom Glencarney, we went to Dublin. We walked around the geographical location. We went to where he would live. So we make a very rich character biography. In a small movie, in a low budget movie, one of the few luxuries you have is the ability to spend time developing the characters. So I think on bigger budget movies, you may not necessarily always have the time to do this. So we did have time. It's one of the precious things you have on a indie movie. And we just tried to make them as deep and as complex as we could, to find out as much about the detail of their lives that we could. And actors, if you trust them, they'll do this, you know. So I
They have to trust you.
so fortunate.
Yeah, they have to trust you as well, and you totally succeeded. You mentioned small budget, and I'm not going to ask you how much, but I don't think our audience always realizes sort of what that means. It looks like a big production. It's very polished, and that, I think, is wonderful. But tell us a little bit about the production, as far as how long did it take?
Sure.
Did you have to do many reshoots? Just sort of a day in the life of the making of Rialto.
Sure. So the movie Rialto was a 5-week shoot, so 25 days, Monday to Friday, weekends off, thank God. And we shoot. I like to work in sequence, so I shoot the movie in the order that it's written in the script. And I find that actors respond to this very well, because they know emotionally where they are in the story. So we tend not to shoot, the last scene first or anything. And we do that about, I would say, about 80 or 90% of the way through the movie. We shoot, if we find a location, we shoot everything in sequence there, and we move to the next location. So an average day would be on the set that Vaughn Lawlor would be in every scene. We wouldn't rehearse any of the scenes. Myself and the cinematographer, Adam Scarth, who's a young, upcoming DOP who I think is fantastic. This is his third or fourth movie, I think, he shot. He shot a movie, my first movie, called Daphne. So we already had a way of working together, which was quite quick. So we plan everything very quickly. So we know how the camera is going to move. We know the language. We know the color. We know the scene. But when we get to the location, we ask the actors to come in to walk through. We look at our plan and we apply it and shoot really quickly, as quickly as we possibly can. And if the actors know that you're not going to do too many takes, it tends to focus them. So on a bigger movie, if they know they can go to the trailer, they can come back, they can do all of the things that's afforded in those type of industrial processes. They have time, they can do things again. But we go in, we shoot fast, and we have to move. And that focuses both the crew, because they know we won't be around. We might not get this. So in the movie, there's lots of scenes shot at the dock side in Rialto. And we had 3/4 of a day there. That's all we could negotiate. And they closed a bit of the dock for us. And we managed to shoot everything there in order in just over half a day. We don't do reshoots for 2 reasons. One, we can't afford them. And 2, I have gone back to reshoot a couple of things in the past, and I've never used them when it comes to the cut. I think the atmosphere, the energy is changed. And for me, it never works. I think on a bigger budget movie, if there's more time, perhaps. But I don't know. I feel that when you're there making something, it's good to try to get everything.
Yeah.
We don't have the luxury of going back. So it makes it real for us. We don't have the time. We don't have the to go back.
Yeah, I don't think audiences typically are aware of such constraints, and finances being certainly one of them. It's it's such a difficult proposition to get a film made, and then you have so much put upon that, not only finances, but 25 days is not a lot of time to make a film. So again, I commend you. And you talk a lot about relationships, and it seems you like people who you like to work with, people like to work with you. And you mentioned Mark O'Halloran, and I agree. Adam and Paul and Garage are phenomenal films. Did was a script like delivered to you and said, "This is it, shoot it"? Were you able to sort of, mold some of the words, or some of the characters didn't quite fit the words? Talk a little about that relationship of working with Mark.
Sure. Mark is a wonderful writer. So he wouldn't give a script in that wasn't good to go, So the script, the characterization, the arc of the story, we change some things because some things work on the page and sometimes they don't quite work in the edit, if the director hasn't shot them very well, for example. But my rule is, so my background was theatre, so we always try to respect the writer words, and we try them, and then if they don't work, but everything is written. The movie isn't improvised in any way. The trick is to try to make it feel fresh, as if the actors are doing this, but everything is in the writing, So the script came and I shot it, and I rearranged some of the order of the scenes in the edit, which is, just standard basically. But the ending, which is, quite abrupt, I don't want to give too much away, absolutely as written, absolutely as written.
Do you find you've probably screened enough places now and sort of been to audience reactions? Do you see a different reaction, different places? And I mean more geographically. Like, I'll be honest, we as Americans tie it up in a bow, tell me how it ends, I go out, fine.
Sure.
Our audience likes to think it's not necessarily that, but American audience typically want it all delivered to them.
Sure.
Do you find it different, like the interpretation of the whole film, but especially the ending? Do you find, like, do you watch people as they leave and go, huh?
Well, I tend not to go to too many screenings.
Okay.
Because once you've been in the edit room for a year, and you premiere, you maybe see the first minute of the movie. but in the premiere in Venice, the audience seemed to enjoy the movie a lot. But of course, it was a world cinema audience in Venice. In London, again, a very sunny, literate, and European audience. So they're used to that type of work, When we screened in Dublin, well, I was very nervous because, not being Irish myself, I wanted to make sure I got everything right, and the Irish audience were extraordinary. So it's really funny. So in Ireland, some people will laugh, of course, at some of the linguistic references and the cultural references. So I think every home crowd has that. But I really love to see movies where, and I really love to see the movie in countries where they find different things unusual. So I saw the movie in Korea, in Busan, and it was extraordinary. The audience were laughing, crying during the movie. Extremely emotive as I was waiting to do the Q&A. And a wonderful thing about South Korea, all of the audiences are like 30 under, and they all go and see movies 2 or 3 times. It's part of their cinema going culture. So it's absolutely extraordinary. So in America, I'd be fascinated. So perhaps you could let me know.
Sure.
How it goes.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk to Busan and find out how they get that age group of to come to the films, because we would love to, they're our next cinema goers. So
a wonderful cultural thing. I was the oldest person in the cinema.
I often am. Not to put you on the spot again, but like favorite moment of the film, like the thing that you just, whether it's the way you shot it or the emotions you got from the actors, or just something about it that you went, that's spectacular. And the whole film's that way to me. But for you, was there something you were very proud of? You just sort of, the aha moment, if you will.
Oh goodness, I don't know. I mean, it's. I'm not trying to duck the question.
That's all right.
I suppose moments,
like, or just something that you really felt was the crux of the story? That was it something between Colm and Jay?
Yeah, yes. There's one tiny moment, which is a bit of a non-verbal behaviour, which for me is probably 90% of the story of the film. There's lots of moment when Jay and Colm are in the bed and breakfast, like the little hotel room that they're in, and they're drinking beer, and Jay opens the beer as he's half listening to Colm, and he takes a little drink of beer, and then he plays around as he's listening, and then he suddenly looks up as if he should be paying attention to Colm telling him, pouring his heart out, telling him the story. And for me, it was so lovely, this tiny moment, unspoken, unscripted, not rehearsed, where I actually felt, yes, this feels like the real world. These tiny little banal moments. When I see them in movies, the accumulation of them make me feel the world is three-dimensional of the movie. So there's a tiny moment in there. So when Colm cracks open a beer can, that for me, when you watch his performance in it, it feels so authentic and real and tiny and detailed that being a fan of Chekhov, a tiny moment to reveal a bigger picture is one of my favorite moments in the movie.
There are a lot of really nice, as you say, quiet, calm moments that you don't even think about. And now I'll go back and watch that scene, and I think I'll see it in a different light. But there are a lot of those moments. But and all over Colm's sort of relationships with his wife and the family, and that's, as you said, sort of things we can put ourselves into, whether we've been in that situation or not. So. I would hate to not ask, what are you working on now? At least, what are you working on that you can tell us about? What will we see next from Mackie Burns?
I have two movies just now on the go. So I suppose both London set movies. So I suppose whichever one of those will be financed first. One is a drama and one is a comedy drama.
Okay, we've had that conversation quite a bit.
Well, I feel that after Rialto, it would be nice to try a comedy drama. They say comedy is the hardest thing to do. So if I'm going to fail, I have to fail big. So
I would agree.
Give it a go.
Comedy is hard. I think everything's hard, but comedy, there's something about it because, I think some people like more of a dry comedy. Some people like more of a laugh out loud comedy. So it's really trying to do that sort of reaches everybody. One final question. It's more of a personal question, not personal, but how are you finding the life during COVID? Has it been like this really overbearing thing? Your creativity just zapped, or some people have actually found the time to sort of do things that they hadn't been able to do, and they're finding they're being not more creative, but they're at least being creative and sort of flourishing. How do you sort of fit?
I think I've fallen into the latter camp, in that I've written more in the last 4 months than I've probably written in the last 4 years, and I have 2 kids. So my kids being at home has been great fun.
Oh, good.
I suppose I'm quite an antisocial creature. So my life, other than traveling, to go to London to work or to shoot, my life in a way hasn't changed a huge amount. I started running, which has been great. I've been running for 4 months now, and I've never felt healthier. So, of course, every now and again, I suddenly realize, like everyone does when you watch a movie and people, aren't distancing. You know, you suddenly feel, oh my God, what are they doing?
Yes, it's the old world.
Yeah, my daughter's 13 and she said, you know, Dad, can we watch The Walking Dead? Now, I've never watched it before. We sat down and we watched this one episode an evening all through lockdown. And it was extraordinary to spend the time. And my son and myself watched The Mandalorian, and he loved that. And it was great to actually spend and have time
Right.
to do stuff that we don't get round to doing.
Well, speaking of time, I know you need to head out.
I've got to go and collect him from school.
Oh, okay. We've taken up some of your time. Again, Peter Mackie Burns, the film Rialto, screening August 27th. It'll be available till the 31st. And I know that September 18th, I believe, Breaking Glass Pictures will be doing a virtual cinema here in some major markets. And then October 20th is the VOD and DVD. So if you don't see it with us or see it again after you see it with us, but good luck with the film. Good luck with your next work. Keep us abreast of what's going on. And thank you again. We're going to leave with a little trailer of the film. And again, thank you again for being with us.
Joe, thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
A thing happened today. It was this lad. He hit me a few digs, took me wallet.
Why didn't you say earlier?
I didn't know how. Lost me dad, see, he died. Mom, stop, please.
You're doing your best by him, Colm.
Biggest disappointment in life I was.
That's all in your head.
How long have you been with us? A lifetime, you could say.
Good.
Your job is gone.
Someone here to see you.
Who?
Somebody lad, I don't know.
What do you want?
Money.
I like you.
Yeah?
No secret. No, I hate our dads. Put it down, please. As opposed to, I think. It's natural. You're beautiful.
You hiding?
I'll shame you what you done.
And how dare you? This frightens me. Like a fool you treat me.
You don't even know me. You judge me, you don't even know me. It's not awful, don't you think?
I don't think you should have done that.
I've been lost, all right? I want to be straight out. I want a life. I want to be a good person. There's no lies between us.